Our Christmas was ruined, and yours would have been too. Imagine you and your husband had made 2 cute snowmen outside your house and woke up the next morning to find a 3rd snowman sticking a large knife into your husband's snowman's chest. Well, when that happened to us, I knew instantly that he was back. You see, many years ago, when I was a teenager, my stepbrother moved in with us and told me,
"Check out this news article. Isn't it rad?"
The title said, "Step siblings get married and have 3 kids." I cringed so hard and screamed, "What's wrong with you, you creep?"
Huh? Do you think it's weird?
Of course, you weirdo! God, Dennis had 0 emotional intelligence, and he obviously had a crush on me. But at least I knew he was harmless and a kind person. He actually spent most weekends helping out at animal shelters. Or so I thought, because a few days later I was making pancakes, and I felt someone's hot breath on my neck. I screamed and saw that it was Dennis. He said,
"Do you like my friend Michael? You've met him, right? Michael told me he loves you and dreams about you every single night."
"Ew, stop it. I don't like you, and I don't like Michael. Stop dreaming about me, you freaks." You see, I had met my stepbrother's friend Michael, and he was the biggest weirdo of them all. One time he was at our house saying, "You know what I did last weekend? I caught 5 rats in one night. One of them is as big as a cat, and I've put them all in a rat park where they're making lots of rat babies now. Want to come over and see them?" I would rather kill myself than go home with you, you creep. I wanted him to feel rejected and go sulk somewhere, but he responded, "Oh, I love it when you play hard to get." So yeah, he was a big weirdo, and things got creepier. One night, my mom and dad were out of town when my stepbrother Dennis said,
"You and I have to declutter the basement. Dad will pay us $40 each if we help."
I could use the $40, so I agreed and followed Dennis down the stairs to the basement. Dennis had a thing for me, sure, but he was a dumb fudge and nice guy after all, so I wasn't scared of him. Well, big mistake, 'cause suddenly he grabbed me and forced me into a chair. I screamed, "I'm going to kill you!" But he just wrapped a rope around me real tight so I couldn't run away.
"Sorry, but I owe my friend Michael a favor, and he just wants a chance to get to know you. So please talk to him for a few hours. I bet you'll fall in love with him."
I spit right in his face, but he just left and then Michael came in. Oh, he looked so pleased with himself, and I hoped he would come close enough to my face so I could bite into his carotid artery and send him to a hospital. He said, "There's my little angel. You know, I had a dream where Archangel Michael told me that we 2 are meant for each other. He also said we're going to have 3 babies one day." I responded, "I'd rather stab myself in the eye with a fork than date you." Michael droned on for 3 hours, fully convinced that I would suddenly fall in love with him. I mean, this guy was completely delusional. At last, he put a talisman around my neck saying, "It's made out of rat bones. Keep it on and you'll always feel my presence." When he finally left and my stepbrother Dennis came back down to untie me, I stood up and kicked him with full force in the nuts. He fell to the ground, and it felt so good to see him cry like a baby. And the second my mom got back, I told her how I was tied up and forced on a date. She was upset and told Dennis that Michael was forbidden from ever entering our house again. I thought this would stop Michael and his craziness, but one day I received a cheesy love letter from him. On it was a drawing of me and him kissing, and there was also a strand of hair attached to it. My hair! Michael must have climbed in through my window at night and chopped bits of my hair off, like a stalker. I was petrified and decided to Google stalkers. God, I read a bunch of stories that were super graphic, and it turned me into a ball of paranoia. Stalkers like Michael are selfish and get a kick out of hurting their victims, and they are willing to do anything to get them. So for the next few months, I only left the house to go to school. My mom always drove me. But then we went on vacation and got this stunning villa next to a lake, far away from Michael. I felt so safe, but one morning as I opened the front door, I found a photo of me on the floor. A photo of me taking a shower next to the lake. I immediately knew it was him, Michael. There was also a note at the back that said, "You can wear that bikini on our wedding night." Well, that ruined my vacation mood. I stayed in my room with a knife at all times, and I couldn't shake the feeling that Michael had hacked my computer, 'cause maybe he'd seen my web search and found my location through that. So I took my laptop to a cybersecurity expert, who after running some tests told me that someone had installed a password stealer on my laptop, and that that person had access to all my accounts. So on my way home, I gave my laptop to a homeless person and didn't look back. I completely ditched technology and moved to another state for college, making sure that Michael couldn't locate me. There, I also got into my first relationship with Nick. He was strong, and I think that made me feel safe. On Valentine's Day, he even left roses and a cute teddy bear at my apartment door. I immediately went to his dorm and said, "Thank you so much for the Valentine's gift." "What do you mean? I've bought you a necklace, but it's still in my bag. I haven't given it to you yet." A shiver ran down my spine, and I immediately went back home to inspect my Valentine's gift in more detail. I noticed that something was off about the teddy bear's eye, so I pulled it out and found a camera. In that moment, I knew that Michael was back. So I told my boyfriend about my crazy stalker. He said, "I won't tolerate this idiot ruining your life, and I promise I'll stop him before he abducts you or worse." So Nick came up with a plan. First, I asked my stepbrother Dennis to give me Michael's number, and then I called Michael asking if he could come over. The creepy thing was that it only took him 5 minutes to get to my door. We sat down and I told him, "I had a dream last night. God told me that you and I are meant for each other." "Good, it's about time. So you are my girlfriend now, right?" "Not yet, because God said you'll first have to prove your worth by beating up my boyfriend Nick." "But I could go to prison for that." "Not if you're careful. Nick goes fishing at the small lake every Friday. It's pretty deserted out there, so no one will see you. Just ambush Nick and leave no evidence behind." Honestly, I didn't expect Michael to fall for my crazy-ass story. I mean, come on, it was ridiculous. But the freak responded, "Fine, but I want you to watch while I defeat your boyfriend." Michael didn't know that I had recorded the conversation. Now all I needed was video footage of him attacking Nick to send him to prison. So on Friday, Michael and I got to the lake, and Nick was fishing with his back to us. I took a big stick from my bag and said, "Here you go, Michael. Use this." Michael was so pumped for victory, he took the big stick. And just when he was about 7 feet away from my boyfriend Nick, I pulled out my taser and zzz, Michael was on the ground, flapping like a fish out of water. Then we called the police and handed over all the audio and video evidence. 3 months later, Michael was sentenced to 6 years in prison for attempted assault with a deadly weapon. My boyfriend Nick saved me, and that's why I married him right after we graduated college. We moved into a small 2-bedroom house and even tried for a baby. Everything just seemed so perfect. But then, a day before Christmas, the doorbell rang. I opened the door, and it was my stepbrother Dennis. I said, "Merry Christmas. What are you doing here?"
"Oh, I know what you did to Michael. You framed him and now he's in prison even though he would never hurt anyone."
"Leave me alone, you freak." I tried to close the door, but Dennis put his foot in between. He said,
"Michael hasn't forgotten you. You better go visit him in prison and apologize."
I had enough and took my boyfriend's golf club and swung it right at him. He finally ran off, and I didn't tell my boyfriend about the incident because I didn't want to ruin his Christmas. You see, Nick and I had a Christmas Eve tradition. Every year we would build a snowman and snowwoman couple in our front yard, then got twigs to make it look like they were holding hands, and made smiley faces using Skittles and licorice. It was an expression of our love. But 4 years later, I woke up on Christmas morning and saw a third snowman. It had an evil grin on his face and was sticking a large knife into my boyfriend Nick's snowman. I screamed, "Michael is out of prison!" And I was shaking in fear, so we went to the police station and the officer responded, "So, a snowman attempted to kill your husband's snowman?" That doofus couldn't stop laughing and refused to help us. When we got home, Nick said, "I'll get rid of Michael once and for all. I have a degree in chemistry. I'll just poison Michael. That's child's play for me." So we put our plan in motion. I was the bait, and I'd go for a jog every afternoon to give Michael an opportunity to stalk and follow me. Then Nick spotted a white Prius trailing me, so we followed the Prius after my jog was over. It went to a shabby little house in a dirty neighborhood. Nick checked the mailbox, and the bills had Michael's name on them. So the next day, Nick put a fake advertisement from a supermarket chain in Michael's mailbox that we had created ourselves. It had a small praline in gold foil attached to it, and we hoped that Michael would eat it, and you know what. A week later, we started driving past his house every night. Interestingly, the light was always on throughout the whole night and whole day, but no one ever came out. So one night, my boyfriend decided to go to the house and look through a window to see if Michael was there. When he came back, he said, "Michael is laying on the ground, not moving." So the poison had worked. We were quiet on the ride home, and I was so nervous. But then I said, "Screw it. No one will find out it was us. Let's go celebrate." We had a nice dinner with champagne and truffles. But to be honest, I was never able to shake off that slight nervousness I got from murdering Michael. It might stay with me forever.